team, and we're going to talk about the Calgary Flames, who just went through probably their worst nightmare. They lost Johnny Gaudreau. He signed with the Columbus Blue Jackets. He had his best year. I think it was 115 points. He was, in the Hart Trophy race, and they got nothing for him. And now their other best player, Matthew Tkachuk, is an RFA this year. And the word on the street now is that the Flames don't want to run into the same situation that they just went through with Gaudreau, that they are now going to trade Matthew Tkachuk. Now Matthew Tkachuk had a fantastic year this past year, and I'm sure every team in the league would love to get a player like that, because not only is he a pest and so difficult to play against, but he also brings that skill and that ability to score and make plays. He's a first-line player. How many other players in the league are there like that? Brad Marchand comes to mind as one other, but he's of that ilk. Now, do you agree with what Calgary is doing? I mean, I don't know how you cannot. You don't want to make the same mistake twice. And I know that, there's a couple teams that would really like to get their hands on him. St. Louis seems to be the number one team because he's from there. His dad played there. I know Frankie would love for the Maple Leafs to get their hands on him. He dreams about it at night.
I did, actually.
But what would that package look like? I don't know.
Okay.
I feel for Flames fans, though, because you went from having like a legit shot to come out of the Western Conference to now losing your two best players, and you're practically, what is this? This means like a rebuild, a retool that you're going to have to go through here.
Well, Flame fans are not in the same category as Oiler fans. They're just a whole another selection of arrogance. But and which is my favorite cologne, by the way. Inside joke. So yeah, a lot to unpack there. I think the reason why the Flames did file their own. Well, you don't really see it a lot. You see players file for arbitration, but in this case, Tkachuk didn't, and represented by Newport Sports, whom we know all too well, Robbie. So in this case, the Flames elected for club election of arbitration, which gives them the opportunity to kind of take control of the situation as much as they could, because they couldn't do it with Gaudreau. Gaudreau was a UFA, was not an RFA. They had no control of that. At least with this, it takes away the idea of a team signing Tkachuk to an offer sheet. And you're probably saying, well, shoot, if the Flames are going to go through a rebuild, why not take 4 first-round picks? Well, offer sheets are few and far. It rarely happens in the NHL. And who's going to sign this guy to 10.5, 11 million, which is the projected contract of what Tkachuk would get somewhere. So think about that. 10.5, 11 million. Not many teams could do it unless you're kind of under the lower skill, which I could see teams like Jersey doing it or what have you. But
and you'd have to give up 4 first-round picks if you
and 4 first-round picks. Correct. Yes. So you're probably looking at a team that's they think they're on the rise, that maybe may not need them, or that team to get that next level, like Boston. I could definitely see Boston throwing an offer sheet at Tkachuk's way, right? So I guess Calgary's going to take their a little bit of control here, but that means it also gives them a little bit of time to trade him. So what would a package look like? Well, the rumors out there suggest that obviously St. Louis would be the leading candidate. They would have to move some salary back, obviously. But Eric Francis, who covers the Flames, was a beat reporter saying that the Flames are looking for at least one piece where they can build a foundational kind of the organization around, and they think that guy is Jordan Kyrou, who's a great player for St. Louis, making $2.8 million. So that would be the kind of the centerpiece of that deal. Not sure what else would go back the other way, but there's also talking about a guy like Tarasenko, who's also asked for a trade out of St. Louis, so that could work. So you can see a package of Kyrou and Tarasenko and whatever else you want to add going back the other way, which would be like, hey, at this point, like you called it, Joe, and we're talking about this with Rob on the last on Soto. The more you wait, the less that package is going to come down. So you get what you get with Tkachuk, though. This becomes then the question. It's the 1 year of Tkachuk. Unless you can sign him to a multi-year deal, it's 1 year. right? So whatever you're going to sign him at, it's the 1 year unless you get him to a long-term contract. So you look at other teams. Who could realistically make a play for these guys? My opinion, obviously St. Louis is number 1. I'm going to put Ottawa at number 2. They've had a bold summer. And who plays on Ottawa? Obviously the captain, his brother. They definitely have the assets and prospects to send a guy back the other way, but he won't sign there long term. I got a feeling. It's just maybe with his brother, who knows, but I don't think Ottawa is a place where he wants to stay long term. You have to throw Toronto in as number 3. And this would be my argument. This is the Kawhi trade for Kyle Dubas. It's 1 year of a superstar who can put you over the top, chips all in. As Rob said, he's a gambling man. This would be that deal. A missing piece of the puzzle, something they don't have, a power forward, 100 points. I get he makes 9 and probably is going to ask for 10 and a half, 11 million. But this is the deal. I believe Toronto can match any package going back from any team, especially St. Louis and Ottawa. And I'm not talking prospects. I'm talking, what do we have right now off the roster that can go? Nylander would be the first piece because they probably want, obviously, some skill, some high-end talent going back. Joe thinks I'm crazy, but a package for me would look like Nylander, Sandin, who obviously is on the who knows what's going on with that situation, right? Probably Calgary has to throw something back, so I mentioned Shillington. So a trade I would put out there would be Nylander, Sandin, Kerfoot, and a first for Matthew Tkachuk, Oliver Shillington, and their 4th. And I put it out there on our poll. It was getting some pretty good traction. So that's what a package from my standpoint would look like if I'm the Leafs. And I'd do it like any minute.
But why is a team going to give up a package like that to Calgary when they know that Calgary really has no leverage in this situation because they've got him for essentially 1 more year? Why am I going to give up? Why am I going to help you out that much? I know what Calgary's hoping is that a couple teams get into it and they bid against each other. That's the way that they come out on top in this situation. But if Tkachuk kind of picks his destination and says where he wants to go, like an NBA player, like NBA players have done in the past, then Calgary loses even more leverage. I just don't know if the Leafs need to give up that much. I would love to see Tkachuk in a Leaf jersey. I think everyone would, though.
He's that element that they don't have. He hits, he scores, he's a pain in the ass in front of the net. Let's not forget, he has a relationship with Austin Matthews, a good relationship with Austin Matthews, and one with Mitch Marner when they played together in London. Like, the fit is there, familiarity is there. I don't know if they can make the money work because that albatross of John Tavares just comes creeping up behind you and say, hey, guys, 11 million right here. But that's why I kind of threw in Kerfoot with the money there, decent player. I don't know. It's wishful thinking, but if a package like that came up, like if you're Kyle Dubas and you're saying to myself, you know what, if I don't do something, I'm not going to be here next year. Let somebody else deal with it. Make the deal. Make the deal. Be bold. Make the deal.
Can I be devil's advocate on this one?
Yes.
Why would Calgary want to do that and have to go Shillington when they can get maybe a Jordan Kyrou or Robert Thomas, who I'd argue is cheaper and younger and more valuable than
Robert Thomas is not cheaper than he just signed for $8 million. So no,
right.
It's not. Yeah.
Right, but he's younger than Will Nylander, and
by how many years? 1 year, 2 years?
No, Robert Thomas is like what, 22?
23. No? Robert Thomas is not going in that deal.
No, that's not happening.
He's not going in that deal.
Okay, Jordan Kyrou. Like I take Jordan Kyrou over Will Nylander. You know, and
no. That's why we said no. Listen, we said that St. Louis is probably the clubhouse leader right now, and that's what's been reported as the main piece. Of course, Calgary. Yeah. I'm fully expecting that deal to go through with St. Louis. I'm just saying from a Leaf perspective,
right?
What could be the equivalent? If it's just Tkachuk, Joe, what are you thinking? Like a Nylander Kerfoot first? Like, is that enough for Calgary to be like, so? I don't know.
I would consider making the deal. It's just I want him signed. I don't want him just for the 1 year.
I know, but isn't that why we call it the Kawhi deal? You don't know. Take your chance.